so it's paused. So I might talk about it today because it's just really reflected. Hey everybody, welcome to Dojo tonight. What? It's Moon Day, January 26th. Hey, it's a 26th. I'm super excited to be the moderator tonight in this frigid. Yeah, I've got down on, and I live in the South. So I don't know what you guys are doing up there or where you're at, but it's definitely arctically cold.
Yeah.
Hey, James, are you there?
Here I am. Yeah. No camera today, but yeah,
Cool.
cold here too. It's
Yeah.
all snowed in.
Good to hear you. I don't know. People's bandwidths could be down because there's some power outages happening
Yep.
in the
Well,
US of A.
800,000 people, I think, don't have power last time I heard. I mean, not all of them got back to me. I tried to call everyone, but a lot of them don't have power and, you know, they're like unknown number. You get it. But
unknown number.
yeah, I
Well,
know.
my friend in Arkansas, she lost her greenhouse, and on the Lake Wachita, which is a pretty mild place. It's only like about an 8-hour drive north from me here, so they get a mild winter.
Uh-huh.
But her greenhouse collapsed under a very, very unusually icy, weird, like she has never experienced that kind of, in certain places, I think in the North Pole or something, they have all these different words for snow. What,
Yeah.
50 words or something, but we
Yeah.
have snow. So whatever this was very, very weird. And it was like she could walk on top of it, and it was heavy. And they lost all of these protections over those houseboats on the houseboats on these lakes, and they all collapsed onto the boats.
Oh no.
I don't know what's going on with other people, but it's been pretty. I had we had torrential rains. I had like a major leak in my house. I have the guy fixing it, but every time he tried to fix it, it made it worse. And then I said, well, that's the good news, because sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. And so at least I'm getting new metal made and all that. So, but I want to say what's so wonderful is that I didn't get all excited when I had to run and get tarps and lay them down and get buckets. I had every pot that I owned in different places that it was dripping from. I was like, oh, this is so exciting. And then my thermostat went out, and I didn't have any thermostat when the cold weather was coming. I was like, well, that's interesting. How good can that get?
Mm.
It wasn't so good, but I made some lemonade out of the lemon. So you've been posting a lot, James. You've been pretty riled up. How you
Yeah, I'm a
feeling now?
werewolf. Yeah. Yeah, I'm rude as shit, mean, nasty, awful person. I yeah,
Interner.
I've been trying to hide out because I don't like myself. I mean, I actually kind of get it. I get me. I I yeah, but I mean it's all good. But yeah, there's a lot. I've been this way since the Caribbean bombings. Honestly, I've just been a lot more activated about everything, and just can't help but feel it. But yeah, yeah, the public execution that the algorithm uh, wanted me to see from 5 angles in Technicolor moved me, and I started to wonder why does that make me a weak person? Like the truther would tell you, oh, you fell for it, or like all that stuff. And you feel that, and you just I try not to bother people, and then I'm listening to myself. Well, I don't want to bother anybody. It's not like I saw someone shot in the face, and this is like the second or third time, and I turn, man. I first thing I do is I go after the charlatans, the people that have been saying every fucking day the sky is falling, and until today, and then today they're like it didn't happen, it was fake, or protests are meaningless, or you shouldn't You shouldn't be so upset about it. You're falling for them, or you're letting them jangle your keys, and meanwhile every other day it's the sky's falling, you know. And I try and be cool with the sky falling every day. I know it's just a part of being here. You're Everyone's dipped in milk, reading the tea leaves of what's coming, you know? And I can't sit there and go, well, I don't want to hear about any fucking sky. I mean, I try that, then I just feel bad. I'm just like, look, man. So yeah, it's I post some things, I I say some things wrong. I I I told someone that I didn't have respect for them, and it sounded so shitty. And I would have corrected it, but it would have sounded like I was trying to undo the damage that I it's doing to me by letting it ring that I said it. So it's like I sort of like wanted to own that I said it, but honestly, I also want someone to hear me when I say I actually meant this in a way that I don't think people realize. When I said I don't have respect for you, what I meant was I don't know you yet. That's all. I just meant I didn't know this person yet. But I know that fucking Luciferian hermetic language, you know, talking Enochian stuff, you know, and all these words mean backwards stuff. They have all these deeper meanings, and if you were on the vibe, you would totally get it, right? But you're not on the vibe because you want to fucking bitch about chemtrails. And now I'm anti chemtrail because the one day I don't want to fucking hear about chemtrails, you're probably just like, see, you don't believe in chemtrails. It's like I never told you I believed in that stuff. I honored your ability to froth in the milk and, you know, come up and blow bubbles and say I see chemtrails, and it's just like, okay, thank you for seeing them, but I just saw a public execution, and you want to fucking tell me that now's not the time for protest. Then you want to say this is why you're not popular, James, because you're a dick, and I'm just like, how else do you think morality comes out of these flowers, man? How do you fucking think this works? How do you fucking think this works? And you so yeah, it's I'm highly activated. Someone emailed me the other day and it's like, I bet it really burns your butt that so and so is doing a show with Miguel, and I didn't even know so and so was doing a show with Miguel. I didn't even know about it. And I was just like, why can't you just believe that I'm mad because we just watched a public execution? Why the fuck is that not enough? Like why why does there have to be motives behind that? And this whole idea of you want to believe that the sky's being poisoned 24 hours a day, but you also want to triple down on how protesting is a waste of time. How are those two things fucking congruent? Like I those two things do not go together. And you know what? Forgive me, but David Icke says the world is run by reptilians. And he also says, hey, you should vote for this candidate in the fourth congressional district. And I'm just like, how do you, you know, if we're improv in here, if you're coming over to play with me and you're going to play a role, I need your imagination to be a little bit more consistent here. I don't even need to believe in you. I want your vector to be clear. I don't need it to be true. Does this make any sense? It's like
Yeah.
that. And the bar is so low, I realize exactly why I'm where I'm at. And I like where I'm at. I cannot even imagine. I'm trying to figure out how you would even navigate this if you were like had this giant army of like Christian truthers. Like I can't even imagine, guys. They would tear me apart if I started like telling. Well, here's what I think. I think open borders are fucking. Hey, man, that's just asking for your papers, and you know that would not work at all. So it's like I think I mean everything's in good shape, you know. But I'm a werewolf. I I I attack my own. I I attack who's pretending to be my own. That's what I mean. And I could be wrong. I go after charlatans. You guys have seen me do it. I'm not proud of it. I purposely find them so bothersome that I can't help but I'm that dog that you're like, dude, you don't want to bring this dog home unless you don't have any dogs that are like fucking pretenders. If you've got like authentic dogs, this dog's gonna be fucking great, man. Seriously. But if you bring home a poser, this dog is gonna go off. It's like that. That's not good.
No, I don't know if it's bad, James.
It's
I
not
don't think
bad,
there's any.
but it's also not good. It's not good if you're
Okay.
like, why aren't you? This is why you're not popular, James. It's like, yeah, I know. I am hunting you. I'm drinking the blood from your neck, feeling better because someone got shot in the face, because at least I got to drink the blood of a charlatan today. That's the werewolf. I am really ashamed of that, but I also have been raised on some wicked teats, man. And I'm just saying the milk that raised me makes me just vicious. And I'm ashamed of it, but not in that I hope you get what I mean. It's exactly why you keep the werewolf under wraps. You would have to feel ashamed of this for it to be this versipellis.
At least
Well,
you didn't wear a mask when you did it, James. You were yourself,
yeah.
you know. So at
Yeah.
least when you do what you do, you're not, you are the werewolf, but you're not hiding,
Yeah, but I
Um,
should probably
we went down
consider a
to the
mask.
protest.
I am the
You might
eviscerator.
want to
I
just,
will eviscerate you. Like I could, maybe I should get a mask. It probably would work out a lot better. Go ahead. Tell me about what you're
no,
saying.
you would be scary if you had that anonymity. You need to stay true. Okay. So no, we went down to one of the protests down at the ice thing down here, downtown Phoenix, and it was okay, but it was definitely like you were talking about back in the day. It was a little bit there was no real proper advocacy, and then some of the people started acting more like ice guys anyways. So like the weakest link is what happens in the group. I think you were talking about that when I hopped on, Lori, earlier. But I don't know. I lost a person just from being that dog, a real person in my life, on Friday night, just for being real. 2-year relationship down the tubes and a 2-hour art show.
Yeah.
People are just difficult these
Yeah.
days.
And
Well,
I'm glad.
well, I think I lost a dear friend. Her name was Pause, but she went by Peace, but she was a catalyst. And I learned, I'm doing a 4-part piece on it. It's so much. I couldn't get it in one. But being a catalyst is not, it brings inner peace because it makes you look at your shit show. So a charlatan is a person that's pretending. And when you're pretending and someone sees you, is that really the werewolf? I mean, maybe you've lost your calories. Yeah. And you lost your skin and you turned into something that maybe, but there's a catalyst in it, and it's like not always comfortable. This person wasn't a comfortable person to be around, but she was an initiatory person to me. I remember vividly, I had Reclaim Belonging as my website and stuff. And she told me it sounded like I was trying to reclaim someone's unclaimed baggage or shit. And I said, I'm going to flip the script back on it. And I'm going to say, I'm reclaiming the belonging to myself and not to anyone else. And she was a puppet master. So when I honor her, I was like, I loved her dearly because I was able to stay with her and take the medicine that she gave me. She was a master neuro linguistic person, so you couldn't play games with words and do any victim stuff. She was right on what you were casting, what spells you were casting. And she had a crooked finger, so it always went sideways when she pointed at you. But it was like a crazy thing to have that kind of initiate. You are a initiatory person, James. You are a catalyst for the change. That is not going to come without some kind of people, whatever they do to you. I mean, you're kind of persecuted for being the catalyst, but they won't know that they were initiated. It's an initiation, but it's painful for the person that is see my friend Pause, she was this person and she had a hard time being around people, and she always was doing all these things, and it was like the best thing ever, but it wasn't a large, she didn't get like all that notoriety. She was a catalyst. So in that way, I see, not in the same ways that this person was in my life, because you're not a puppeteer or any of that, but you are a catalyst, and the catalyst calls out the fraud, and the fraud needs to be called out. So I'm like looking at my Facebook feed, and somebody comes in with, where are all the good superheroes? Where's Clinton and Biden, and where are all these like superheroes? And I was like, I don't have the desire to fight that fight anymore. I used to kind of think I had it in me to fight it. It's not my way in. But your way in is so masterful, James. So I'm like, I'm sorry that you had to have a werewolf experience. But I'm not. I'm really not. I think it's
Well,
what the world
yeah,
needs,
I think it's good to be
you
able to
know?
see that.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that it came with shame is actually the only reason why I was able to pull it from the other side. Like to find that behavior from my unconscious self and pull it into my conscious self, I think is a very powerful form of magic that I don't normally practice.
And that
So
writing that came from it, I was talking about that energy of angst or anxiety. I think Clinton had sent me this amazing thing about retrocausality, and that talking about anxiety and angst being a part. I've really feel that anxiety is part of your fertilizer. And sometimes you miss the mark with your
yeah.
fertilizer, but your writing was off the chain. I mean, you must have done, I don't know how many on, with your introspection.
Well,
Yeah.
it definitely was flowing today for sure. It was it's also covered in snow. Everything's completely white. It's really the most it's perfect riding weather. It's perfect riding weather. So, and all the things that are happening, yeah. I wanted to do a show, but the writing was just too much. There's actually another article on jury nullification and civil disobedience. I mean, conscientious subjection are signs of a growing ego, and how that's part of our immune system now. And that's if you watch the protester, Bavino just lost his job, by the way, like a few minutes ago. But the protests are
I don't know
showing.
who that is.
Bavino is the head of ICE operations, sort of the dude who kind of dresses like Hitler. I
Okay.
wish I was kidding, but literally he kind of dresses like Hitler. But he just got fired. But the if you really do, San Francisco and New York are two things that they weren't really able to go into, and Minneapolis is just a disaster. And I think this is the same energy that we talk about here all the time. This is as dystopian as we say the world is. This is what you get on the white sun. You have more autonomy too. This is not a place where you have less power. The white sun is a place where you have more power. And it sucks because you have more power now. That's why it sucks. It doesn't suck because you have less power. I swear. It sucks because you have more power.
Right.
And you have more power because you're able to see more. And if you're able to see more, you are able to harness and alchemize what you're seeing. And compassion is one of these tools, which is why I say I turn into werewolf, because I don't have compassion when I during a public execution. And it's funny when I say that. It's like, yeah, I need to work on having more compassion and being more docile during a public execution. I mean, I when I was writing the article, I caught myself realizing, wait a minute, that's what I'm actually saying. I'm actually saying, dude, you'd be cooler if someone gets shot in front of you if you just wouldn't say anything. Or if you'd only post like happy memes for a while. That means you're more woke, dude. That means you're more awake. That means you're more transcendent because you've got it figured out. That's what turned me into a wolf. You get it? That
Mhm. Yeah.
noticing
Yeah.
that's what made me go, I'm going to drink blood now. And now it's yeah. So yeah, I'm all for the Versapellis. I really did not see myself understanding how this was a key into animism, but it really is.
Yeah.
And if you can, the more conscientiously you can become unconscious, I think the more you can direct the alchemy of that kind of blind violence. You were a directed energy weapon as the werewolf. And if you can
Yeah.
become unconscious, you become a divine arbiter of justice, but you really want to make sure that you've aimed your arrow into the right clump of trees, into the right bushes. Because once it's in there, it's going to, someone's going to go down. You want it to be a hyena. You want it to be a clean kill. You want to be, it's like I wrote today, you want to pay for what you did. And maybe what you did is good. Maybe what you did is good. But you're not going to know till the werewolf comes out the other side. This is really what what most of the world is still about, still that survival mode. Everyone
Yeah.
carries their own weight. It's a constant proof of are you worthy to make it? And all that's changing now, you know. It's a massive revolution happening every second, every day.
It certainly is.
It's really great. So
Well, I see that we have some new people, and if you don't know, you please join the conversation. There's not that many of us, but if you feel more comfortable, there's a reactions button at the bottom, and you can just raise your hand and come in with anything on the topic, what James talking about, or if you have something that you want to discuss, it's up for that too. So I just wanted to welcome you. So yeah, go ahead, James. I'm sorry I interrupted. I just wanted to make sure I got that in. But the writing was off the creative juices flowing from you watching your werewolf arise, fall, come back, and then you did that research on what happened when those people came into the concentration camps, and a
yeah,
lot of those
yeah,
SS officers
I
did
should
not
look into
make it
that.
out.
Yeah,
That was like, and then you did, there was all of that, like, but that's kind of like we were talking about, that it was kind of building what this, like, what does it mean to be a man and to protect um a form of civilized behavior, like,
yeah,
did two wrongs make a right? How does that work to
yeah.
be in that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Nuremberg trial is so interesting because it has this aura of look how justicey we are, right? Because we had the Nuremberg trials, and everyone's like proud of that. And I'm not saying don't be proud of it. I don't want to spoil it for you. But if you Google that thing, it's going to tell you, well, they convicted 12 people, and you're
and the,
just like,
and then we
okay,
had the Nazi scientists that were too smart to go into that. So those rocket people, they went to Huntsville, and Werner von Braun and all these, geniuses came in with their paperclip.
yeah,
So they didn't. It wasn't, Nuremberg trial was just a farce of, we show how, what a just thing we did as this, allied forces, and they really didn't. And then I remember living in Germany in the 70s, and they never taught about Nazi Germany. It was all the people that I would talk to, they didn't know too much about it. It was kind of like, let's don't talk about it. And I think you did post on one of your Substacks that they were taking down uh, our Civil War history in some place. I don't know where it was, but I was like, yeah, I don't know if it was real history or not real history, but removing the crime, or the truth,
yeah.
or the true
Well,
history,
let me get back to what I was saying, because yeah, we can talk
Yeah.
about civil war monuments, but that's different
Yeah.
than this Nuremberg thing. This Nuremberg thing, I don't think it's a farce at all. I think it's 12 people were tried and convicted in public for war crimes and
Hmm.
sentenced to death. And two of the people that were sentenced to death were able to commit suicide. So they got to steal that punishment away from the people. And if you take the civilian death toll, just really rough, 50 million people died who did not or were not actively participating in a let's shoot each other for wearing the wrong shirt. 50 million people died, and 12, 12 people were put on trial for that after it was over, and found guilty enough to where they were sentenced to death. And ultimately, 10 people were executed. But that's not the only justice. If you were to truly look at justice for World War II, you wouldn't look at the Nuremberg trial. You would consider that to be sort of a misnomer, because there were several instances where Allied troops would take over an SS camp, and war had been called, surrender had taken place, and the SS guards that were running the camp were shot anyway. They were shot by Allied forces, they were shot by locals, they were shot by prisoners that wanted revenge. And if you look at the justice of that, those people were tried for war crimes too. I'll give you that it's illegal. I'll give you the court was not a jury trial in Nuremberg. It was a let's go behind the barn and do some justice. And that those deaths are closer to maybe as high as 2,000. Probably you could only get away with admitting maybe 400 of them. So for every one person that was punished at Nuremberg, 20 people at least were punished by werewolf. Allied soldiers with guns that liberated a concentration camp and said, you know what, I'm not going to be able to stay conscious here. I'm not going to be able to feed you, walk you back to this other base, wait for a fucking helicopter, make sure you go to the bathroom. It's just not going to happen. And it probably started with one guy punched someone in the teeth. That's probably how it started. Probably started with that. And the one guy who punched someone probably was a prisoner. So it's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to say no to that? You're going to say that this is the moral high ground? Hey man, you got to fucking put that prisoner in cuffs because he's trying to assault this war criminal. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? So you I think that you get to unwrap and realize that even now when people are saying civil disobedience in a lawful way, I don't know if we're really truly in touch with how things have always worked. How honestly some pretty lit fuckers put into this. It's like a puzzle, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. It's a fucking puzzle because Article 1, Section 9 is just like brutal public safety. Look, my queen can fucking trump all your pieces. I just have to say public safety. Meanwhile, everything else gives you these pieces. Here's one that says, look, you're going to have to overthrow the government. They're going to become tyrannical. It's in the Declaration of Independence. It's right there. It's like, look, it's in the Constitution. Excuse me. It's like, look, they're going to become tyrannical. You're going to need to do something about it. No one's here to save you. This paper is all you got. It's inalienable. You don't even need the paper. Like, you could not say it clear. And this puzzle is constantly unwrapping. This document is a hyper intelligent, like, mind puzzle. It's a tulpa. I think maybe that's what it is. And just like Jesus, the more you think about it, the more you contemplate it from different angles, from different postures, the more it unwraps and shows you things, right? And you look at it under the different ciphers of Aries and Taurus and COVID and Trump Indians, and then you're just like, oh my God, we've unlocked a secret chamber, here's this other secret power. It's called conscientious objector. And you're like, wait, you can do that? Let's go back to the Civil War and try and tell someone, hey, you can conscientiously object to that. Like, unless you're a Quaker, you don't even know what to say to that. You don't have the psychic balls to say. You're going to be like, what? You want me to say what? Yeah, conscientious. You're not even able to get it out of your mouth. You're not going to be able to say it. And so you see this building of these. It's like layers of the psyche, chronic immune system layers, right? One of these layers now is called conscientious objector. It's not necessarily that layer, but it's the layer that you can have a cosmology that you get to say, hey, I consciously object to you. Like that's brilliant. That's profound. It's profound and it's brand new and it's just online and it was brought to you by fuck faces. It was brought to you by the worst fuck faces that we could round up. We pulled them in the forest and we gave them our gold and our guns and our children and they said, "Hey man, you guys, we want you raising us. We feel like this is the best way to grow a psychic immune system." And then you've got jury nullification. This is fucking fascinating. This idea that a jury is the law, that a jury doesn't have to follow the law. No, a jury of unconscious sheep have to follow the law because they do not have the ability to understand jury nullification. But if you get someone inside the jury room that knows that, you have unleashed a monster. You can jury nullify any crime in the books, and you could say, hey, look, I know you caught this guy with 7,000 pounds of weed, but I think it's a stupid law because the endocannabinoidal system tells me you're an idiot. And that
that's why they try to screen those kind of people out of a jury room.
the sheriff will look at you and say, "What have you done?" And it's the answer is jury nullification. You've removed the efficacy of the law because you declare that there is no such criminal. That's showing you that there is an innate power given to humanity by, I think it's the community and entitlement personally. I think that most of this is community allowing us to have this kind of freedom. I remind you that before conscientious objector was a thing, women in England especially would place white feathers on men who weren't wearing a military uniform to call them cowards because they wanted a man who was obedient to the virility of violence because that's what they needed then. So conscientious objectance started out as a sign of cowardice. It turned into a sign of virility. And I would say to you that I think all the gender stuff that's been happening, I think it's the same kind of thing. It's an autonomy that's shamed as something else when really it's just a different kind of self-comprehension. That's all. It's the ability to express an imagination in public and everyone has to play with it. This is what we used to do as children. When you were a kid and you were playing, you were not going to be friends with anyone who didn't let you play what you were going to play. And if they stopped, they could try and make you stop. Or you could try and recruit them. Isn't this all the language we talk about? About it's just they're recruiting you into the agenda, and it's like, yeah, this is what I did when I was 5. It's like, hey man, do you want to play Space Ranger? It's the same thing. It's the same energy. It's the same autonomy, and all the powers are waiting for us. But society has to unleash them. It's not government. It's society. It's culture. Culture gives you permission to have autonomy. Perfect example of this is the sovereign citizens movement. This is one of the most terrifying things to the legal system. And it is considered one of the most dangerous things to modern society. And when you see it on YouTube, Judges get so fucking mad because it works. This will work. When the crowd lets this work, this will work. It will happen in one monument case. One case. Someone will say, Article 3, Section 7 of the International Galactic Treaty of Frank Zappa has decreed that I am an authority under the contracted law of said associate in which my cosmology resides. And this is the same thing as saying conscientious objector, but it's got a buttload more syllables. It requires a lot more attention. The same kind of attention you need to say conscientious objector in the Civil War will eventually be this huge long mantra that unlocks this golden gate where you become above the law, not because the law lets you, not because a loophole's there, but because society said, we're ready for this kind of entitlement. We're ready for this kind of autonomy. The law, it opens itself. It permeates, right? It opens the ion channels and away you go. There's so much progress right now. I think the Trump cabinet is like 1,000 points of disillusionment. Like it's so beautiful. It's so brilliant the way every cabinet member is severing the umbilical of trust to government in such a profound, beautiful way that there's no one who's going to be able to keep drinking from that teat. It's so sour that it's going to be impossible. And how can you not call this a constructive move? We are going to be seeing so much innovation in civil rights and personal autonomy, and you're watching it right now in Minnesota. They won't even come into New York. They won't even come. They tried it for like 3 hours. I don't know if you caught that. This several months ago. They tried it for like 3 hours. ICE is like, we're coming into New York, and it did not work.
Yeah, there's a change or a coming. I shared on the Turtle Island that there's a lot of corruption here in the government in Louisiana. It's kind of known for it. And there's a lot of cases that get settled out of court. Most cases get settled out of court. And there's attorneys that are making deals all the time. And it's just a lot of money goes down. And a lot of criminals that have done really horrible things get put back out to do more horrible things. And the prosecuting it, for the person that is the defender for the criminals decided he wasn't going to do that anymore. He was going to not take the money. And he was going to say, I have to stand that this is so bad. I can't with my conscience do it anymore.
Yeah.
So there's somebody running in November against this nepotism, and all these judges were there and all these sheriffs were there and they were all supporting this, I don't know, like, I don't know what it is, but something's changed. And I see it like locally and I see it collectively. So I think it might be really hard to watch because we've never had this kind of thing where cameras are everywhere filming things in multiple different views.
Yeah.
For all to see.
Yeah. Society allows us to see that. Society
Yeah.
thinks we're ready to see that because this would have been censored in a different culture. They have the technology to do that. It would have been censored into anyone trying to share that video would have been marked as violent content, blah blah blah. You get it. It's
Well, they
as
have
easy as
they do.
nudity. As easy as they do nudity, you do.
They could have silenced it. They could have done that, but maybe it was just like maybe ICE is ISIS, and it was trained to have this thing that everyone watched, and that they were trained to show torture. I remember when they were showing those people getting beheaded, the journalist. It was horrible. It was like that was like the most brutal and now it was there and now it's here, so it's it's part of a consciousness awakening, and that person that was two people now executed. It's woke up both sides. There's not one side that I think. I'm not seeing a whole bunch of MAGA people out there saying it's a good thing. That's a good thing. Go ahead, Renee.
Hi, everybody. What is today? Monday? It's Monday. Yeah. Moon Day. It's been so hard to just keep track of the days and the times, and I'm sure you guys all feel that. But we do have Neptune is going to be in Aries for the next, I think, 16 years. So this is a big new energy, big new shift from 2011. So to have that happen, all this stuff culminating to now where we are, makes so much sense after that Piscean, Neptunian kind of like transition that we all went through together. And now we're all here at the beginning of this beautiful Neptune of a planet. Oh, the tunes, what we feel out into those realms. To really come into Aries and really just do some let's spring forward, let's go through the surface, let's really take it. And that coincides with the horse fire year as well. But I just wanted to point out that with everything being as it is going on, I feel like I have a lot more room to be myself and not apologize. Because if you want to, even bringing up, the corona or COVID just seems really valid right now. Like, in the past, it would have been like, oh, what are people going to think of this? But now I think all the ropes are cut, man. I think it gives me more of a freedom to express, even sharing our live, flight on Saturday with, people on Facebook. They think whatever they think of me. It's great. It's whoever's still watching me watches me. But, I feel more open to be like, hey, I'm going to put this out here. We're going to talk about corn dogs. Yes, we are. But, also within that comes, our how we navigated through the corona. And so it's just, I feel like there is this opening now to say the things that maybe in the past you're like, do I really want to put this out there? And now it's like, yeah, I think it's actually asking for it. So that's my personal experience. So I do feel like a little bit freer to just be able to put out with what's in front of me, like, well, then here's also this.
Yeah.
There's another way to think of things. There's different perspectives to take. And, if you're into this at all, here's an avenue, so it's a really powerful time. Go ahead, James.
Well, that's, yeah, I appreciate that. There are four citizen deaths. And I don't mean this to bring anyone down. If you think about this in the Templo Mayor context, these sacrifices are going to cause the blooming of consciousness. And that all the people that are taken up to the top of the pyramid are sacrificed for the raising of consciousness too. Keith Porter, age 43, in Los Angeles, that was New Year's Eve. Renee Good, 37, that was in January. Alex Preddy, that happened Saturday, I believe, the 24th. And Silverio Gonzalez, 38, happened in September. And then I think that ICE would also need to include all of the Venezuelan deaths, because that was sort of lumped into the same budget and the same kind of context too. So, you're looking at basically a person every day has been sacrificed, at least every day. An innocent victim has been captured by this priesthood, and they've been sacrificed in the name of Huitzilopochtli. In this case, terrorism, narco-terrorism is what it's called. And so that's the war paint that's used as these people are drug up to the top. And if you, I hope I don't sound too esoteric, forgive me, but I've been thinking about the pyramid on the Great Seal and on the dollar bill. The eye on the pyramid of America is the Aztec pyramid of blood, and the eye on top is the witnessing of the blood. So you and I, if we witness the blood, the engine is alchemized into something different. Why did they call it the flower wars? Because it bloomed consciousness. It bloomed awareness of the terror of its own doing, the terror of its own machine, the terror of its own engine is the awakening. This is the only lantern that would shine from the edge of a cliff in the darkest of night would be the terror of, you guys are doing what? Yeah, we take these people and shoot them in public and drain their blood in the name of narco-terrorism. That's a light that you're going to see. And just like that oracle of the economist says, all those people are saying no. Prometheus is leading them through the valley and they're all screaming no, no, no. And what is happening right now? It's that. People are being led to the Promethean Luciferian agenda is working perfectly. And you have jury nullification, you have conscientious objector, you have refusal of mandates, you have a different level of autonomy, and it's disgustingly messy. And there's a lot of people that would rather fight you. These people are terrified of having to do this on their own. They want that nipple to not break. They do not mind the sourness. They do not care what it tastes like. They do not want to let go of that drink. They do not want to do it.
Well, I was thinking about this time loop, Renee, of the the 60s and the Vietnam. And I was thinking about Kent State, and I was, alive, and I think it was 10 maybe. And I remember that. It was like they were protesting a war that a lot of their college friends were drafted for. They didn't even have a choice to go to something that, and they were protesting it. And someone said something, and it was like a mass murder at Kent State. So, we're witnessing like a rinse, wash, repeat. And if you looked at the astrology of this time, it kind of lines up for like this time of repeat in the astrology. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, wasn't the Civil War started with the same placements of
Yeah.
I don't know if it was, yeah, so similar placement as we're having right now. The
And like
progress,
this,
and I would
and
agree, the progress that's being made right now is like so quickening.
the
So
silver,
quickening.
the first silver coin was made in 300 BC or something, and we came in with silver currency. Is right now silver's 105. It was 25 to 30 just 8 months ago. And so we're in that repeat of money systems crashing. So we have all of these things that are kind of showing like a flowering. James, true. Yeah, I just really feel it's hard to be there. I'm having like, what was it like when people were coming back from a war they didn't want to fight in, and were thrown eggs and hate speech, and they didn't really want to be there. It was like unconsensual reality. It was hell. I have a lot of friends that fought in it. One was a conscientious objector, went up to Canada, but you were going to get arrested if you came back to the U.S. and you did not go for the draft. It was a very horrible time. So
Hard.
right after, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's all kind of connected. Go ahead. Sorry, Renee. Didn't mean to.
Oh, just kind of like a push. Like, if you don't do this, you're going to be in so much trouble. Whenever that comes down from the government, you're either with us or against us. I just immediately go, boom.
Yeah. Yeah, the first drafts were basically just threats. They were threats telling you might as well enlist, because if you don't, you're going to get drafted. At least if you enlist, you get to pick your cot first, and some of you might win a horse. It was just like vaccine mandates. It was always a threat that it was coming. So it's better for you to join now. And that is an electrical cow prodder that grows autonomy. If you if you keep doing that to somebody, they are going to eventually learn, hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You've been controlling me with words this whole time. And this is the thing that we don't really want to let go of. We don't want to have to own that. We want to be able to say, no, 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 it's their fault for giving us words that are not true. They're the ones that did wrong because they used words that are not true. And we don't lie because we are honest, good people who never lie. But they do. And as long as they lie, we are clean. And that is a special kind of posture. That is a special sheep right there. That is a really special sheep, you know. Like for you to keep feeling that way, president after president, administration after administration, new law after new law, there's no other way to do this. This is the only way. We got to nuke the milk, man. We got to spoil. We need someone like Trump and a cabinet that is going to, like, every single person has a special role to make this as horrible as possible. And if you look at them all like that, guys, this is stunning. Like Pete Hegseth, that dude is fucking nailing it. Like seriously, came out in that Pentagon speech, and you're just like, how could you make this worse for? And then you have Carolyn Levitt. It doesn't. RFK Jr. has gotten the left to be like, dude, you fuckers don't need to trust government health information anymore. And I'm just like, wait, what'd you just say? It's like, I said you don't need to trust public health information anymore.
Yeah, it's good news, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't even want to say I told you so. I'm not even going to say I told you so. You know what? I think that's already hard enough that they're saying this. And what are they going to do next? And now they're like, oh, and the Second Amendment's important. So they're like, the most leftist people you could imagine are screaming Second Amendment right now. To some of the most rightist people you can imagine are screaming, my body, my choice.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
it's glorious.
Certainly is. Go ahead, Renee. You had something to say.
I don't know. I just imagine like some orchestral piece, like crescendo building, to the vitriol orchestra of the
Totally.
world.
Yeah.
But it is like when you were talking about, seeing this, it's from sea to shining sea is where we're seeing this. And it's always kind of fun to go over those like old, like Pledge of Allegiance or songs. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this actually saying? There's so much hidden within that's becoming just like so hard to not see. And it really is. It's a lot of, again, coming out of that 13-year with Pisces and Neptune, that was a lot. And so again, into the unknown, but just quite frankly, the practice that came with going through the Corona was such a great building structurally for my internal self. You know what I mean? It was even just like walking out of the mass or going to Costco. Like that was just, you just got some good, F you guys and what we're gonna do, so that was really good practice to build us up to where we are now.
Yeah,
That's about
sure.
it. We're working out the whole time, and I'm really glad we're working out. Playing it.
I was thinking about that Neptune of, I'm a Piscean with the Neptune, and it's like a dream state or an addiction state. And, thinking about James's sour milk and like, you can take a certain amount of the substance. And then it's like, now you're in Aries where it's like, you're shooting that arrow into like a different reality out of the dream, out of the fog, out of the illusion, like this illusion, like, everyone's disillusioned because the illusion of the fog is lifted, and it's the harsh reality of what you see is waking, the beautiful flowers up. And I do think that the angst and the anxiety and the vitriol is part of the fuel, like we saw in 2020. That person I traveled with, who died, she died few days ago, and I've like writing about it. But, I had 65 people at my opening of the lighthouse during the middle of a pandemic, and nobody wore masks. And I thought how radical that was, like to not follow the rules and to manifest something that was like we're born to do this now. We're like the shamans or the visionaries or a kind of quiet leader, like a light that shines and in a place that people are, they're waking up out of they're horrified. I don't think there's anyone that's not horrified about what they see now, no matter what side they're on. I mean, we used to be like, oh, what's the B team and there's the T team, and I was like, there's just everyone see there's no team. We're in this non-team, and we're team human. I love that podcast, Clinton. It was really amazing. Clinton sent me this amazing podcast on this from this team human about this. Kind of took notes, but I don't have them with me. But retrocausality and time loops, and how your brain is a little bit ahead, and how that you in your dreams you can actually have a prophetic dream that kind of, and I remember looking at my shamanic, journey. I'm in the middle of writing this book, and I've got stuck on year 3 because I needed to be stuck on year 3. I'm not stuck, but I had to stay in that solar plexus, that masculine, feminine, that solar, lunar energy. I had to like stay there long enough to receive. But I looked at the dreams I was having then, and it's almost like they're looping to now. I don't know if anyone's had that experience where they'll have a prophetic dream and it will be like something that's going to happen in the future, but that's definitely happened and is happening for me. And I'm really excited about, like you sometimes you just you like what it says, you can't handle the truth. I'm like, I think that sometimes you can handle the truth, and the truth at the moment as it is, but you can actually you have remembered something, and it comes in like maybe precognitive, in a dream, and then you're like, oh, and then, but I think the best thing about that podcast was, if that's the truth, and I really kind of feel shamanically it is, then we've already made it. How good can it get? Because we've already made it. We're here. And it's painful to see the awakening of consciousness, but we've made it. So, anyone have anything to share on that? I'm like, I'm super excited about that podcast. I was like, right on, Clinton.
It was a good one, but I think there's science kind of to back that up. And then when James talks about how our eyes work, we're definitely behind. And so,
Yep.
And then if you were really in touch, I think you feel that out. You get the signs from the universe all the time. And then you have the dreams to remind you what's coming. Sometimes they change a little bit. You can alter the past and the future. I firmly believe in that.
Yeah.
It is definitely scary out there right now to everybody. I've unfortunately seen this place is broken since I thought, like, when I got here, I feel like when I was at the airport or at the hotel looking at the brochures, they had like an outdated brochure for planet Earth. I think I came to the wrong planet Earth. They had one, they were doing cooler shit, and I believed in it, and I came for that. So I want to get back to the stuff that they tricked me into coming here for.
I'm
I just
on
like
that.
I like the garden and to ride my bike. We rode down to the protest the other night, and it was just all the protesters were just yelling at the ICE facility on a Saturday night. I'm sure there were some people in there, but it seemed like probably very few at best. And they were just saying silly stuff like, someone's fucking your wife right now, blah, 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 blah. Your life sucks. So it was like nothing really positive. And when we rode around the corner, there were more militant, like, kids that were dressed up just like ICE dudes. They had, like, assault rifles. Their faces were covered. They were acting the part, screaming at these guys at the building, just blasting sirens. We did a second lap around, and those guys tried to, like, give us a hard time. So when we went back to the front, because we're just two middle-aged guys on bikes. Like it could have been the neighborhood we lived in for all they knew, and they were harassing us, and they were giving like what I would consider the good guys a bad name. And so we were on the front, and they had gotten a call that there were going to be some people that were going to try to agitate. And so, but I feel like that's just you don't even need to send agitators. You just send that call, and then the people start acting like assholes to other people that are just trying to be humane. So everyone's highly agitated, and I just hope, you know, I hope it turns out well. I definitely, it has to break and crumble. Nothing's definitely broken. We just have to, deal with this place better. America's broke, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to say something, Lori, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Nancy.
I'm actually, and this could be apathy, but I'm like, maybe this is just a freaking morality machine. And we were here for so many, whatever, the fact couple of 1,000 years, and it's because it really is. It's a hard place, I think, to grow morality. It's a hard place to grow anything sovereign and like for you, in my experience. In fact, so I don't know if everyone's familiar with Louise Hay, and I'm totally off now of what I was going to say, but I was looking at it because I actually I'm feeling like a little child, and I had a tooth fall out today. I had a tooth fall out today. You can't really see it. I have a partial. I knew it was. They wanted to yank it out and do all this stuff, and I'm like, my tooth feels fine. And so I've been all these months, and I knew I had some DMSO, and my roots just whatever. They put some. Oh, you're gonna have an infection. It's gonna go in your jaw. I mean, it's like that's what they do, and I'm really at a place where I'm like, this has got to be a morality machine. I don't think communities will maybe together grow more morality and maturity, emotional maturity. But I have to say, 2 weeks ago, I was in one of my sitting with myself, and I just want to share with everybody. For the first few minutes, it's like, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And so I really have to like just be with myself and let all that fade away, and things just start to come. And I started to get empowered for authenticity because honestly, gang, I know what some of it is, but I really got that lost. Okay. And I was so empowered. I came downstairs and I wasn't like, ooh. I was like, Larry, I know what made me sick. I said, I got so lost for my authenticity. I said, I am not doing that again. I don't care how old I am. And he looked at me, he goes, I'm going to back you up for that, Nancy. I back you up. He was just like so supportive. I'm like, it was really cool. But anyway, and there is this man coached football. Now, I met him when I was 50, and he coached lacrosse. He is so totally convinced that football is rigged. We've been together almost 20 years, and I probably like maybe the last 15. I didn't like stuff like that. But anyway, it just got so obvious. All of this is just BS. And now he's actually pollinating, around his big kids. So it's like there's more stuff going on. And all I had to do was be real. And I think that's our biggest force. Our biggest power is being, so however my cosmology, it's going great. I'm working with clay and I'm carving and I'm like just playing. And I feel like, and when I start to take things personally, or I start projecting, I just think that's part of the game that we do here. And then we start to wake up that that's what we do here. So, and if I'm not making sense, like I'm okay with that finally. I make sense to me, and I know you get tidbits. So I love you guys, and I have a lot of hope, and I don't even know if it's hope. I just feel like there is a change around the corner, and it's going to be for us being authentic. And I think that's our biggest weapon, James. I liked what you wrote. I pondered it a lot about, well, I liked your article about pathetic. Oh, man. But the other one about, just, like protesting. And I feel like my protesting is coming downstairs and going, I am only going to live authentically now. That's just how I'm going to live. And that's an energy wave. And he's like, yeah, I'm on board. And then, I did not expect that. I was like, wow, cool. Anyway, I'll stop now.
Yeah, that pathetic thing, I don't know if we covered that or not, but pathos somehow became a bad word. It started to be used in 1937 or so. It's just different things. It started in the vernacular as pathetic became a bad word. And if you think about pathétique, is pathos like it's the original meaning is one who feels emotion. So to be pathetic is this is the same as conscientious objector. It's the exact same framework. First, it's looked at as a flaw, and then that flaw becomes a weapon. It becomes a source of a new kind of organ that grows, a new kind of immunity field. That placebo level of how you see things. So there's a lot of emergence here. The emergence seems to be coming out of the objectivism, the majoritarian view is it I'm really proud of everyone that disagrees with the majority, because it means you found an identity off of it. You built a definition of yourself because you are not this, more this, but definitely that. And it would only be through all this weather where we could even find these things, where we could even adjust how we feel, and discover why does the charlatan, why do I like that blood so much? That question is part of my identity.
Yeah.
What makes you unconscious is something that you probably lust after, even if that means the distribution of justice. You lust after that kind of justice. And I think that maybe I've been fooled by charlatans in some devastating ways in my ancient past that require me to hunt them now as an unconscious animal, as a psychopathic jaguar with no quarter, no no mercy, And if we all would accept that we are that way, then protest becomes a really powerful weapon, because all of us could turn without turning, because all of us could simply discuss the idea that we could turn right now. And the showing up of that is, I think, sort of that asking of permission. And the more people that show up are kinetic energy into that lunacy, So the collective is not the enemy here. It's a symbiotic relationship with a bureaucracy. And that word symbiotic is not popular still. People want to hear sovereignty. And that's a selfish symbiosis. Nothing wrong with it. But man, if I see it clearly, forgive me. I see it too clearly, because in my mind, if everyone saw this as symbiotic, they would realize, wait, I could poison the mothership? I'm like, yeah, that's what symbiotic means. Symbiotic means you could bring down the mothership, motherfucker. You could bring it down. You can't do that if you're sovereign. You're going to be banging on the walls of all your taxes that you've ever paid have been fortified against you. You're not gonna bring that down. But if you're sovereign, you can hack the mothership. You realize the mothership is nothing without you. You can tell it things backwards. You can pretend to like things that you don't. You can freeze an entire city. You can shut down you can get somebody fired because he didn't say the right thing today. I'm not saying it's great, but it's power. It turns out if you do this, your ears wiggle. Let's jump off the cliff and see if we can fly. Who the fuck knows? It could work, you know. These are the things that we're tapping into: conscientious objector, jury nullification, sovereign citizen. Just know. Like it, I think the reason why the MAGA people, their mind is blown is because they cannot comprehend a reality where you get to say no. What do you mean you're saying no? We control the government. What do you can't civil disobediate in unison. What the fuck's wrong with you guys? It's like that. It's like they cannot fathom a world where that's possible. And we're people are showing them that. I don't mean to clump anyone in, but people like me, for example, want to show them that. It's like, yeah, I get this is hard for you. We're behind the fucking gym smoking cigarettes, and you're just like, this is not okay. I don't know. This is not okay. This is not okay. I used to be that kid. Oh my God. I once got
I
stuck
went.
behind a cop
Go ahead.
because I was toking a bowl after school, and I was getting a ride with someone else, and we saw a cop car, and the cop car they hung their hat, and it looked like the cop was in the car. And I told the guys in the car, that cop, he's in the car. And they're like, that's not in the car, it's his hat. I was like, guys, that is the cop. I'm telling you, I saw it move. And we sat there for like 25 minutes, and it wasn't a guy. Like, I am so not good at this, you know? Like, I'm really not good at this. But this is how it works. This is why I came to learn how to practice, you know, and learn how to be cool.
Well, I love the Nancy's share on authenticity and James coming in online for, your epigenetics of, you know, what this learning is. It's a big learning to be in symbiosis. And what does that mean just to say no? And Clinton riding his bike, and they couldn't put him in a category. So the militants went militant to the militants. I think that was a great. And then when I was down at the No Kings March, I didn't do such a good job pollinating because I'm learning too, James. I feel like I was a failure, but I failed not because I learned much. They were so rule following that they didn't want to interfere with anything that they weren't supposed to do, and I was willing to take the whole thing to another level by getting arrested for standing in the middle of the street. But they did not want me to do that. And I was so disturbed by that 5 months ago. But now I'm like, I'm not disturbed by it because now I see I'm just saying no, right? I'm just standing there saying no. And like, because I'm not on either side, I don't follow either side's rules. And then they can't put you in the box of like, don't you want to be as hateful as the other? No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that works. And then it's like, you beat yourself up because you don't think you're doing it right. But I think that authenticity is never right. It's just authentic.
Yeah.
It's the truest way to be. And then at least you're right. And then if you're right and the next person's right, the shit adds up.
Yeah.
If everyone's a solid one, then we have a community and you can rely on that. When we have a bunch of, it's terrible, we call them sheeple or NPCs, but that's what happens. That's where everyone gets hurt. We're chasing those people, trying to get them to understand. And I think why it's not broken is because it takes this ridiculous bullshit to wake some people up. Like, and I agree with Nancy. It's all a script. It's a game, and we don't have to play it. We have to be real. We have to enjoy ourselves, not totally get our blood boiling over the things, but advocate how we can. Like, it's I mean, to say nothing is the worst, right? Doing nothing is the worst thing you can do. And I just don't want to see more people getting shot. These guys were protesting in a great way on one side of the building, and on the other side of the building, they were a little more shady. And it's like, I feel like one side really wants to shoot people so that maybe one of them will get shot and then they can do more radical things about it, you know? And
Well,
so I
this is
don't think we need to
yeah.
escalate things. You know, there's intelligent ways to protest.
I think this is where the Freemason part of morality is something that should or should not be discussed. That part of it is a different level. Just like you have different immunity fields, the more complex your consciousness grows, so too do you have different obligations when you start to really look at what you think that your role is as a pollinator in this world should be. And that role is often determined by the amount of calories we have, our ability to dedicate energy authentically. And I tell you where the neophyte loses is trying to measure their success by how much things change instead of measuring their success by how well they are at manipulating the calligraphy of other people around them. And this is why it's called Luciferian. This is why it's called sinister. But this is also why how you lead a band. You lead an orchestra, not by playing the most sophisticated notes. You lead the orchestra by playing the thing that's the easiest thing to play and is the easiest thing to become contagious and gives people that gaslighted 1 to 4% that you want to go for. And that now you're attuning. Now you're tuning. You're recruiting an orchestra. And I'm telling you, the authenticity in you has actually been turned down a little bit because the authenticity of the group starts to set in more, and you attune to that because you're steering it. You have placed the saddle on the neck of a creature that flies all over the world. The egregore of this culture is at your disposal when you learn to hold that lantern just right. And I don't think this is for everyone. And I think this is morally abhorrent and morally wrong to frequency prank the foxhole of people that are just trying to survive. And the Mason would tell you, are they wearing a uniform? A Freemason would say, are they wearing a uniform? And you're like, well, what the fuck does that have to do with it? Because the uniform is consent. This is what a Freemason would say. The
Wow.
uniform is a solicitation into a contract where they have sacrificed themselves for the purpose of something greater. The great work solicits volunteers through the cellophane of a uniform. And when you, if, guys, this is not moral ground, this is Freemason ground. And you only come into this cave if you want to hear poetry, because the only thing I'm going to be able to tell you legally is that I was just reciting poetry. I don't know why you thought I was being serious. I'm just talking about stuff in poetry, man. But this is how Freemasons would do it, because you would feel a responsibility to prune the garden because you see the garden. You see people like Trump and you're just like, why the fuck am I not doing something? Tell me again, self. And you do that for decades and you still get it wrong. And then you start to train as a neophyte, and then thank God you meet a master mason. And he's only a master because you watch how he works. You watch how he works, and you're just like, oh, dude, I didn't know you could do that. He's like, I didn't know I could do that either. The universe let me. That's what happened. And this is what it means to wake up. I think uh I think part of this is you have to go full self-righteous to be a Freemason like that. And to be full self-righteous, I think requires you to sin and to expect to suffer the consequences of where you got it wrong. See, this is where I think it's harder, and it looks like a triple X behind this curtain that I dragged you into, and I'm sorry, we don't have to stay here. But this is the Freemason part of the curtain. This is ninja alchemy. And ninjas come home. They're they're not samurai, man, right? You know what I mean? Like they're coming home. This is not about do I look cool? This is like, dude, you do not even see me. I am the most immoral thing. I will poison. I will do whatever it takes because the purpose is something else. And that's not for everyone. This is terrifying territory if you believe that a yoga pose unleashes a demon, or if you hear me tell a story once where I told you guys, well, guys, yeah, I asked the demon to come in because it terrified me not to, and the comments I got in private emails are just like, you opened the gate to hell, you poor Alyssa's mother, and it's just like, yeah, I know why I'm treated this way. I know what I'm saying. This is a special curtain, but this curtain is, I think this is how the founders of the Constitution thought. Fucking Thomas Jefferson literally taking the Bible and going, I'm pulling this out. I'm adding this shit in. We're putting this out. And Ben Franklin, like harnessing the power of Zeus. Like these dudes had this entitlement. They had this righteous sense of fitting into the environment. And I know some people think this is folklore, but if you really start to study that Iroquois Constitution and that bicameral house and the way that they passed laws with sort of a House and a Senate, and they had the Supreme Court of Sachem, and that big thing about veto, this last thing out of conscientious objection is the power of veto. Right now, only the president has veto, but one day you will have veto. One day I will have veto. One day the group will allow me to have veto. That's what it takes. The group has to allow me. The group has to trust me with a veto. I then get to declare myself my own Indian reservation. I get to say I'm a Griffin and that's my gender. I get to tell you that I have 17 gods and you have to name them all legally on my driver's license. It is that insane. It is that high maintenance. It is everything that the bureaucracy fears and more. Even more color, even more challenge, even more predication. And it slows the system down to a halt, and that's what the Iroquois wanted. They're like, dude, you want it to take 17 years to pass one fucking law. That's what you want. That's what you want. And the entire time when you're like trying to get this bridge made, those people will make that bridge 13 times over because they will be so frustrated with snakes in hair that it'll be like, dude, let's just do it ourselves. Let's just do it ourselves. And that is good government. Like, that is smart. And I'm telling you, this sounds so terrifying, but this sounds like, I shouldn't say this. This is why I'm such a Freemason, Luciferian, evil piece of shit. This is what the UN model is like. It's a bioregional confederacy, a conglomeration of bioregions that each have their own autonomy. It's the China model of, guys, the world's too big for us to want to rule it. It's too complex. There's too many variables. A single person would never even be able to enjoy that. It's not possible. There's not enough language saturation for one ruler to even think about being effective. We don't want to rule the world. We want to rule China. And all this terrorizing, that's Mexico, Canada, California. Those guys are probably gonna break this open. They're gonna be, we're our own country, you piece of shit. Like, thank you, Donald Trump. We are our own country now. And when you see that's why all the conservatives are terrified, and the liberals too, because it's change. And change makes you go back and own up what you did the night before because you thought it was righteous. So the werewolf comes home, he's covered in DNA evidence. And the next day you get to decide, hey, was that moral? It's the next day. That's your judgment. And that kind of righteousness, I think only a Freemason is willing to like authentically try that. And I think they're only want to do that a few times in their life. I don't think this is like, hey, I don't think it works that way, you know. No one told me this is how Freemason works, so I have nothing to stand on in this. I don't know why I think it works this way, but I just picture the consciousness back then. I picture watching a public execution. And if we didn't have laws and table manners, guys, if we didn't have table manners, I would have gotten myself into a lot of trouble because I wouldn't have been able to let that go. And I probably would have, if I wasn't conscious enough, if I didn't have enough resources to psychopathically jaguar that properly, I would then be on a revenge fix because the damage that was done to me trying to do that to them would then become a mantra, an obsession I would have for years, and I would epigenetically be chasing that. And I'm just telling you, this is probably how it works. But the Freemason would be the one that's just like, I can only throw this rock, and I'm only going to throw it because I have this sling and I've been practicing for years, and I could still get this wrong. And oh my God, the hostage has a baby. I can't hit the baby. Like it's all this is righteousness, right? This is what makes the lion go, I'm gonna have to kill one of these beautiful creatures right now. Which one should I choose? Which one is going to make this place the most righteous? Like he has to decide. Which one am I gonna kill to make this all worthwhile?
Some
That
some
could
good
haunt you
stuff, James.
forever. That could haunt you
Yeah.
forever, you know? Like seriously, those decisions could haunt you forever. It's like the executioner. I know we're not
Yep.
supposed to respect that, but man, the dude that has to be the executioner, it's just like that, isn't it?
Yeah. I was thinking about the mystery schools and they're coming back on big time right now. And I think a lot of those Constitution signers were part of the Masons, which is a part of a mystery school.
Yeah.
So doing that great work and doing hard things and being able to be martyred or whatever they chose to do, the Cathars, I mean, all of the people that were burnt at the stake, the witches, and it's just like we're in this thing that we're seeing now that's like an epigenetic memory.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like Walking Dead. Like that would be the closest
Yeah.
thing I could tell you about. Like you'd be living in the land of like Walking Dead.
Mhm.
You would be surrounded by consciousness that's in that werewolfian Lupercalian existence, the kind that if you just put down a bowl of wine and it was deep enough that you know that they would just kill themselves, they would just drink themselves to death.
Right.
That's like a zombie.
Yeah.
That's
It's like a zombie
the zombie.
apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
you're living in a world where you've been told everyone's equal. You've been told that. But meanwhile, the cannibalism is contagious. Like the
Yeah.
metaphor only gets more clear the more I talk about it. It's just like, my
Yeah.
God, and the
Well,
righteousness is always a question. It's always, it shouldn't get easier. If it gets easier, you are fucked. Then you're really fucked. If that gets easier, you're fucked. That's why I don't think that they could even pull this off a lot. You know, this became something that was really important. And when you start to think about like what Alex died for Saturday was really important.
yeah.
He dedicated his life to being a trauma nurse. Like that was he dedicated his life to that. He protected an innocent body from traumatic harm in a violent accident. He was wearing a uniform.
Yep.
How this is sickening unless you're already here. What I just said is sickening unless you're already here. Do you know what I mean? Unless
Yeah.
you're at this level, what I said is sickening and disturbing and wrong. And the Freemason would
Well,
say,
I
"What
don't know
it
if
is,
it's
though?"
wrong. If it's an honor. He chose
It's
that,
just
isn't
about
it?
the different levels of understanding the great work in the garden and the symbiosis of the garden. I think it all comes to that, which is why I keep harping. Forgive me, but I'm just always harping on. It's not sovereign, it's symbiosis. It's just because I just keep seeing, wow, this is a tricky transition, guys. If you're gonna come over here, we're gonna need a rope. This is you need crampons. It's a lot. It's a very different path.
Yeah.
And it is not as sexy as that one.
No. Well, we're pretty much at the end of our time together. So good to hang out with you guys and to witness James in his creation of symbiosis.
Oh, well, likewise.
Uh,
Oh, you guys have been putting
lot
on
to
some good
pack
stuff.
tonight. So everyone unmute and say ciao.
Everybody.
Love you guys.
Bye.